Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all, and peace out to the rest of you. Go ahead and hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger, but I will readily admit that in all likelihood, the peace greeting may be inappropriate for this message. I say maybe, I'll leave it up to you. So to be on the safe side, I went ahead and sounded it out for the Muslims in the audience, and for the non-Muslims, peace out to the rest of you. So that's me playing it safe and throwing in the disclaimer also to be safe. Because fairness is fair. Right is right. Wrong is wrong, even when I'm wrong. Which I don't plan on being intentionally. But that doesn't make me any better or worse than most people out there, really. I'm going to tell y'all straight away that I am here to take a nasty, stinking dump and one of the most ammonia-smelling leaks on Thanksgiving. Straight up. It is not funny to me. On one hand, I understand that you got the 5 civilized tribes, as Massa called them, that went really heavy into agriculture and slave owning and even slave catching. I understand. I get that. But I also want to point out that those were the tribes that were distinct for that reason. When you look at the ones that really got wiped the uck out, or almost wiped the uck out and made extinct, they didn't do that. The Wampanoag did not do that. The Narragansett did not do that. And they were some of the first ones. Actually, the Pequot was some of the first ones to face extermination. Now, the Pequot faced it in a situation in which the Narragansett, who were the enemies, had met the British. And the British said, we can help you to win against the Pequot once and for all, decisively. Now, the Narragansett wanted to win, but they did not have a concept of genocide. Does that sound familiar? They just wanted to win. So the Narragansett went in and launched an attack, and the British helped them out. Now, what the British did was cold. The British surrounded and set fire. And what they did was they set some of their mastiff dogs I think they set their mastiff dogs in first. And of course, those mastiffs would just rip anybody up. When they came out, when the Pequot began to run, and they were surrounded, but when they came out, if they could get away from the dogs or the flames, then they were shot down. Now, the Narragansett would capture alive who they got, but the British were killing those who ran out in their directions. Whoever they got, they killed. The Narragansett, who were with the British against the Pequot, were appalled by the brutality of the Brits. They weren't ready for that because their intention had been to win. The Brits intended to wipe them out. And they thought that maybe they could scare even their allies, because though while they were, in fact, on the side of the Narragansett, they thought, well, we showed them our might and what we can do to the Pequot, they won't turn on us later. Well, that actually soured the relations between them. Later on, the Narragansett got it. Later on, the Wampanoag got it. As the colonies became the United States and then they expanded westward, other groups of people got it. Abraham Lincoln was the one that turned the holiday into a holiday. He made it an official holiday. Now, Abraham Lincoln, as a president, could not normally order the executions of people arbitrarily like that, but when he ordered the executions of 38 Lakota men, he was somehow allowed to do it, and it was carried out. Now, I'm sure that there was a military law that applied which made it applicable, but I don't feel a guck because we already know and understand that this would not have worked had they not been original Americans. You understand? This is a holiday that is based on the massacres of people, the tribes of which were not the 5 civilized tribes, though they got betrayed and double-crossed. The wiping out was not done against the tribes that did what they did to those of us of African origin. I'm not here to sympathize with them individually, yes, but as groups of people, absolutely not. Why would I do that? I sympathize with the ones of them who ran away from their people and became the Seminole that resisted. Those are the ones with whom I sympathize. Now, the Seminole were considered one of the civilized tribes I read. I've also read that they were not. But apparently all the Seminole were not the same. And really, the Seminole were not one tribe. They were a ragtag group of Muskogee, which means creek, and Cherokee and some other groups that were against that. And they ran and they went into the swamps of South Florida. And then the black Seminoles were those who were able to join them. They didn't marry each other, by the way, most cases. They lived next to each other, but separately as an alliance. That's another little bit of history I read and thought I'd share that with y'all. But for the most part, the other groups that really got it, with or without Thanksgiving, any time of the year, did not do this to us, those of us of African descent. And I wanted to point that out. If you are African American and then you are Muslim, I don't know how the hell you could celebrate Thanksgiving, let alone justify it. I know how you could go see your family because that's a day off work and that's when everybody's got time. I understand that you would choose to spend any time with the family. I don't understand how you would celebrate and validate Thanksgiving as a holiday and then turn around and try to justify that. You Muslim, you black and you Muslim. If you're seeing your family make that plain, I'm here to see y'all. I don't feel a guck if we eat turkey. I don't feel a guck if we eat duck. I don't care what it is. I'm not here to celebrate the massacres of people. I'm just here because this is time I got that I can see all of y'all. Make that part clear if that's what you're going to do. And some scholars may tell you differently. And they probably know more than I do. But what I'm saying is Thanksgiving ain't valid as a holiday. Don't make it out like that. And some of y'all like to say, well, shut up, black mind, because it's not even a religious holiday. Well, it's called Thanksgiving. To whom are you giving thanks if not your maker and creator? And how is that not religious? No, we can't justify that. I've gone and seen my parents during that time of year because I could get off from work. They knew I didn't do Thanksgiving as a holiday. They knew. They could say a happy Thanksgiving to each other. To me, it was, look, glad you could make it in to see us. Yeah, glad I could make it in to see you. Give me a big old bear hug. Missed you. Will you see you at Christmas time? Probably not. I'll probably get in about 2 days after. That's how it worked. I'm not saying what I did was right. I'm just saying that the one thing I know about which I was right was that I did not take Thanksgiving as a holiday. I was not the one that's going to sit up here and celebrate the massacre of anyone that didn't harm some others. I'm not even bragging. I'm just telling you how I, with my regular average run-of-the-mill intelligence, could figure that out. How can some of you not figure it out? I ain't gonna front. You know, some of y'all may be wondering why I put in my community tab that post where I gave some folk the middle finger. What's this about these ladies defending adulteresses? Well, you know what? Ironically, underneath that, somebody came and did the same thing. Glad you in the Middle East. You know who you are, ma'am. Glad you in the Middle East. You got no consistency. You don't respect women. I go in on adulteresses and then the ones who try to defend them and try to give some legitimacy to paternity fraud. And I got no respect for women. If I had no respect for women, I'd have no respect for women, period, even the ones who were faithful and never bring home some other man's baby and pass it off as their husband's. Or those who insist on getting some other man's baby and then telling the next man that's going to marry them, you got to marry me and take care of all of my kids. We a package deal. Even though they baby daddy got to just nut up in me raw for nothing. I'm not going in on women that don't do these things, and you're sitting up saying I got no respect for women. Ooh, why are you defending the bad ones? You remind me of my good students who used to give in to peer pressure and would defend the ones who I caught cheating. I'd catch them red-handed. Cheating. I look at them, they look at their neighbor's paper and copy an answer. Or talk to their neighbor while I'm looking at them. Up, caught your country behind. Oh, I am don't cheat. I am don't cheat. Yeah, you just did it. Go ahead and admit it. And then a good student stands up. Oh, doctor, cut him a break. He's weak in English. I don't feel a guck. This is university. What did he do through high school when classes were mandatory and free? I don't feel a guck about him not knowing the basics. This stuff is easy. This stuff is what they learn in sixth grade in some other countries. In India, sixth graders are learning the stuff that we're teaching in the Gulf at university level. I kid you not. And I would have good students. Now, this pretty much stopped in 2019, but I would have good students stand up and try to defend the cheaters. Actually, 2020, some kids tried that mess. And I told them to fit the suck down and fuck the shuck up. And not to ever say another word in defense of these two little rat bastards that cheated. Because they didn't belong in that class in the first place. They had cheated to get into the class and nobody caught them. But they sitting up in my class, they the only two that can't understand anything going on. They couldn't even understand the proper Arabic that should be spoken because they only knew the slang. So, why were you sitting up and defending them? You say you do it again, I'm going to put in a report that you're the one they cheated with, that you were the one giving answers. Now close your mouth. That's what I had to do. And now, ma'am, I got to sit up and tell you what you remind me of. I wasn't talking about you. But see, we have a saying. The one that defends the thief either thinks the thief is innocent or is really defending theft. Now, you know I'm not going in on the innocent ladies because I made that part clear. So that means you are defending the adultery and the paternity fraud while you were sitting up talking about what men need to do and provide and build and maintain. And then no matter what they do, they can never deserve sex. Seriously? Oh, man. I think you're one of those that likes Mr. Cannon for all the wrong reasons. You like the fact that he's talking about building and men performing, but he's also celibate. You fail to understand something. He never told men to be celibate. He didn't tell men go out there, build, but then also be celibate. Now, he did say that real men don't ask what's in it for them. They just provide and protect. I have to disagree for one reason. When it comes to your kids, you don't ask what's in it for you. But when it comes to adults, especially when they're not related to you, you have to ask because let's be honest, ma'am, you know this as a Western woman. If you're dealing with the Western woman and you don't ask what's in it for you, then there will never be never be anything in it for you as a man except more requests to do more work and to provide more and to protect more and to solve more problems. And while you're busy doing all of these things, she'll procreate with someone else. And if it's supposed to be yours, then she'll tell you that the baby's yours. So we know what the deal is, and that's why we got to take the stances we got to take that seem very ungentlemanly. That's what it is. And here you are defending adulteresses and paternity fraudsters. If you're not doing these things, you should not have said anything in defense of them. And don't try to couch it as, I got a problem with women in general. No. See, I'm going to tell you this, ma'am. There's a lady that you and I both don't particularly like, don't trust. But you did the exact same thing she did. You take something that I said and you twist it to be something I never even said and was never getting at, so that you have a reason to talk down to me. Well, what the hell triggered you if you're not an adulteress and a cheater and a paternity fraudster? The funny thing is, you ain't married, so technically you can't be an adulteress. You can be a fornicatress or not. And I don't ask you which one. It's not my business. You never mentioned having any kids, so you can't be a paternity fraudster. Why are you defending those that do? Huh? It's because you think what they do is okay to men, because you think men deserve it. And that is exactly what makes you bad for any particular sphere or community of which you want to be an original seed, or seeder, or builder, or matriarch, or take your pick. Oh man, you are the reason why this will continue. Because notice, I never told the men, bring in your outside kids. I never said for the men to do this. I never told the men, get married to one and they're going to lay down with someone else and cheat on your wife. I never said that. Polygyny, yeah, I have to be okay with polygyny. It's part of our faith. It ain't going to be okay for everybody on an individual level. I also have to accept that. But I never justified adultery or fornication. I don't defend the men when they do this. I like Carl Williams, but when he said that he cheated, he took accountability. That was the only thing I could defend. Well, hey, hold up. He did take accountability for it. I'm not allowed to justify his cheating. And he made it clear he was doing that to get back. I was not allowed to justify his cheating and to defend that particular action. And he did not request it because he was taking accountability for it. And here you are showing exactly what men have been saying, that Western women will refuse accountability at every damn turn. And that's not something we say only about black or only about white women, but about women in the West in general. You think your civilization is normal? Then why does it have you brainwashed to, without a thought, get triggered when a man points a finger at a guilty category as if you belong to that category and you're not even capable of it technically? This is why I said it's war. And because of folks like you, it's in the golden sphere now. I meant to prevent it. Hell, it was already there, so any attention just wound up watering that seed even more, even though that wasn't my intention, because the seed was already there in the soil and the soil was wet. The seed was the idea, but the humidity in that soil and the soil itself was a mind like yours and others who have a similar mind. And now it's there. And now because of that, I have to say, look, I done already got on the Muslims that are doing that. You try to tell men they have to tolerate that. No, the hell they don't. That's changing the religion right there. Now I got to sit up here and tell golden men. Because of someone like you, I got to, not only did I have to say what I had to say to the Western Muslims that say dumb stuff like this, and to the Muslims in general in the West that want to justify celebrating Thanksgiving. Ironically, they would never take an African holiday and justify that. And I can't necessarily blame them. We have two holidays. That's been legislated. That's what we got as Muslims. But if they're not going to compromise for one, why they going to compromise for the other? I done already had to get on their butts about this. Now I got to turn around because of what you said and say to the men in the golden sphere, gentlemen, it is just like being in the community from which we come. It is the same thing. You cannot afford to approach in the West anyone, black, white, or anything in between, any combination, can't afford it. Because there's still too many of them floating around with these ideas like this. This idea is more common than the ideas that MRM have. Now, there's one particular idea that MRM has that I know is a wrong idea. That's one. Maybe we'll discuss it one day. She doesn't have to if she doesn't want to. But all the rest of the ideas are not that. She has ideas about at least being fair, a mutual defense. Don't blame these men for things they didn't do. Don't go characterizing and negatively stereotyping them. She at least has these fair ideas, and I commend her for it because that's not the trend where she lives in the West. And y'all saw how these ladies went in on her. One of them's supposed to be her girl, start putting words in the mouth. Oh, she wants to get with a burger flipper. She never said that either. Not that there's anything wrong with it if she did. It's up to her. Her body, her choice, right? So why is it no longer her choice when it's not inconvenient to men that don't have a lot of money, which is most people in general, men or women? Because it's convenient to men. That's the reason why it's no longer considered to be her choice, even by her own homegirl at that time. Gentlemen, this is what you're facing. They say hit dogs holler. Ain't no way that the rocks I threw could have applied to the one that got triggered underneath my post. Ain't no way. She ain't got kids. At least I think she said she's got no kids. She's never mentioned any kids. So she can't be a paternity fraudster. She ain't married, so she can't technically be an adulteress. The most she can be is a fornicatress or not. And I never asked which one because it wasn't my business. Yet and still, she's defending adulteresses. That means they're married. And paternity fraudsters. Categories to which she cannot belong. She's defending them. And this is the norm. Gentlemen, that's what's out there for you. So when I'm going to tell you, men, MLS, whether you in the sphere or not, even if you one of those who hates me because I'm black male identified, even if you're one of those that hates me, the truth be told, you cannot afford to make approaches in the West. It's not going to work in this generation. You can marry golden. You can bring it back to black, as Nakmeezy said. You can completely marry whichever one. I'm not in a position to stop you anyway. I don't recommend marrying any woman from a group whose people hate us or look down on us. I don't recommend it. I'm with Atlantic States Creole something or other. I forgot his name. I'm with him in that regard, or her. I'm not sure, but I'm with that YouTube user in that regard. If the group looks down on you, then the only way I would tell you to marry one of the ladies from that group is if they're willing to live with you in an environment away from their own people. And that's mostly for the safety of her and the kids. But outside of that, yeah, you're just going to have to look outside. You're just going to have to look outside, not just the United States and Canada, but outside the West. Maybe the golden Afro-Latina, or maybe someone from Cabo Verde. Maybe that parda brasileira, or you get the idea. I tell men in Southeast Asia is pretty good because they don't have a problem with people of black blood, and they don't have a problem with light-skinned people of black blood either. It's cool for the most. If you're cool with him, they're cool with you for the most part. I recommend that as a place. And I mean, the thing is, I understand that the goal is a sort of endogamy. I'm not against it. It's just that it's not possible right now for this generation. And that's because, gentlemen, it's on you to make the approaches. It's on you to do the problem solving, the providing, the protecting. All of this stuff. All of these things are on you. And then you have to build all of this stuff, then turn around and approach her and offer her what she wants in the first place. If you do that in the West, your chances are very high of having to do all of these things, never being able to do enough of them, and then somebody else being able to do the procreating. And then passing it off to you, it's your baby. It's too high a chance, gentlemen. Even if that chance is only 20% that's what's going to happen to you, that's too further mucking high. Don't accept an inferior deal, gentlemen. Don't be one. Don't offer one, certainly. But don't accept one either. And the thing is this too, that message of these ladies, it spreads very quickly and very easily. I think you get the point, gentlemen. And I would say this, and this is to the men in the golden sphere. If you decide that y'all want a Telegram group, let me know in the comments. It would be for the men, and it wouldn't even be to just bash the women. It would be for you to be able to defend yourselves from the games of the game playing women. Yes, certainly. But it wouldn't be to bash them. And they have the right to do the same thing, talking about, well, these are the games that men play. The difference is they have to, at some point, they will have to admit that while there are games that men will play, those men are very few. If most men cannot. That's all. You, gentlemen, have a much higher chance of having games played on you than of you ever being able to play certain games. It's not your fault. It's not something wrong with you. It's how it was set up from before. But understand, gentlemen, there's a reason why endogamy, which I would have liked to see for your convenience. When I say your, I mean your convenience and the convenience of the ladies who are with you. The ladies who do mean you a good deal, fairness and justice, and don't mean you any harm. When I say your, I mean both of y'all together. I would have liked to see this for your convenience. It ain't gonna help me. It's too late for me. But I would have liked to see it, yet and still, it is still impossible for yet another generation through no fault of yours or mine. If you think a telegram would help, not for you to dump your traumas, but to help you to get through them if you need to. And if you think it would merely help you to strategize on ways to, while you can't be a bum, on ways to not waste your efforts in building yourself up in life. Y'all let me know in the chat. And if you think it's a bad idea, you let me know. I mean, not the chat, in the comments. And if you think it's a bad one or a good one, you let me know and tell me why. Because in all honesty, really, one of the best things you can do for the ladies that mean you well is to not be a sitting duck, unaware for the ones who don't. Thanks for listening. And no, I don't wish y'all a happy Thanksgiving. I wish you safety and fair treatment all times of the year. And when I say I wish you fair treatment, I mean that I hope that you are treating people fairly and consistently and being treated fairly and consistently, no matter what time of year it is. But it's very important that when you set up your community offline or online, very important that you remember the morality aspect of it. We do not justify oppression of anybody. Do not oppress and do not be oppressed. Thank you for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout. Assalamu alaikum again to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Till next time.